Hey everybody, it's Mike from Here the Watchman. And you know what? Our guest today has really gone through it to do this interview. I think, let's see, it is 4:51 Mountain Time. We started at 3 o'clock Mountain Time trying to get this interview up, and we've done one thing after another. So pay attention, he's got a lot to say. And I just want to let you know our guest today is none other than Mr. Stuart Rhodes, the founder of the Oath Keepers. They're down in Tucson right now on an important mission, and he's going to talk a little bit about that. Stuart, thanks for hanging in there and joining us today.
You bet. Glad to be on. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, Stuart, look, you guys are in Tucson. There's something crazy going on in the desert out there. Some people say it's happening. Some people say, no, absolutely not. What's really going on down there, and what are you guys doing to find the truth?
Well, what's happened is people might know, is Veterans on Patrol, a local outreach group of homeless veterans and homeless people. They go around and look for veterans camped out in the desert, homeless people camped in the desert, and offer them shelter back up there. They've got a really nice big base camp in Tucson. But while they were looking for homeless veterans, they stumbled on the site that had a suspicious looking tree that looked like a rape tree with straps on. Rape trees down here on the border where the coyotes will tie women into trees and rape them. So they had video footage of this tree they found at night with like pieces of fire hose that are used to tie things with, and at heights that you would use to tie someone's hands. But there are also some straps down low that are not for adults. So they were concerned that this is a place being used not only for women to be raped, but also for children. And there was a bizarre shelter there, which was an underground dugout, was a water tank that had been buried on its side, so that the entrance, the top hatch, was facing sideways. And it was so small that an adult couldn't climb in and out of that. It would be very difficult. And so the suspicion was that combined with the rape tree, combined with the presence of children's toys and clothing and shoes, that this is a suspected place where not only adults were being abused, but also children. So that's what started everything. And initially, Craig Sawyer from Veterans of Child Rescue went out and said, yeah, this is suspicious, it needs to be investigated. And then Tucson PD was called in. The Veterans on Patrol people say that Tucson PD did not respond fast enough. They became frustrated, and we talked to them. We flew down. This is bad enough from us. From what we saw in the video, our guys have been on the border in law enforcement for decades, and a local paramedic all looked at that and said, yes, that looks like a rape tree. That's consistent with what we see out in the desert from other places where they rape women, where the coyotes rape illegal immigrants. And so we said, based on that, and based on what we are seeing, what we heard from Craig Sawyer as well, we've seen that tank being turned sideways and buried in the ground. It's not a fit shelter. There's no air ventilation. It doesn't make any sense. So based on that, we said, we'll come down here and take a good hard look at it. And of course, meanwhile, Veterans on Patrol found a skull out in the desert that initially they thought was a child's skull because it was so small. The coroner now says it was not a child's skull, it's an adult skull. But the backdrop to all of this is that people down here, frankly, just don't trust the political system in this town. Or the current police chief. The current police chief is a guy who, when he was in California as a cop, he had a Black Lives Matter sign in his hand. He went out there and joined a Black Lives Matter protest, even though police officers being shot by some of the people that circulate around Black Lives Matter. So he just doesn't seem to be really on the side of the average cop. And then, as the police chief of Tucson, he instructed his men, his officers, to not enforce SB 1070, which is the Arizona bill that was passed by Jan Brewer, the governor, to enforce federal immigration laws, which just mirrors federal immigration laws the Obama administration was refusing to enforce. And so he told his men, don't enforce that, and don't aid the Border Patrol, don't work with the Border Patrol, and also don't participate in an operation called Operation Stone Garden, which was where they would get federal funding. Tucson, in fact, got federal funding to train the officers to be able to identify illegal aliens in their jails so they can alert ICE. They took the money, but then refused to participate in the program. So you got a city now that doesn't help anybody with enforcing immigration laws, who has declared itself a sanctuary city and also an open city. That's the backdrop. what's happening here. The other backdrop that's important is this massive conduit of illegal, sex trafficking and human trafficking that's going through here, and drugs. You got the cartels with their huge, mule trains full of drugs. You got the rip crews that go out there and attack these mule trains and steal the drugs and kill the carriers. And you have desert full of dead bodies out there. But the local paper, trying to make fun of us, said, oh, they found so Veterans on Patrol found a skull in the desert. Well, big deal. There's thousands of skulls out there in the desert, thousands of dead bodies out there of all the illegal aliens that have died. And my reaction to that is, well, this is a slow motion Holocaust. They don't care about these people. To them, it's status quo. It's no big deal. So they're turning a blind eye to a humanitarian crisis, a legitimate crisis of people being killed out in the desert, whether they're dying from thirst or being killed by the coyotes or the rip crews. They're being killed. They're dead. And they don't care about that. And they're also turning a blind eye to the very obvious sex trafficking that's going on. Prostitution rings are bringing women up north to go out there and service the migrant farm workers and illegal aliens. And in the middle of all that, you have had instances of children being raped out here by illegal aliens. You have had situations where children in the United States have been abducted. I know a case of two girls in Texas who were two teenage girls, underage girls in Texas, were abducted in Texas, taken down to Mexico. They found them in a brothel in Mexico City. They were forced to become prostitutes or sex slaves. So this does happen. That's the big backdrop. And so when we look at this situation, and we're like, okay, everyone, all the news media down here are the same line. This is all a bunch of nonsense. It's no big deal. And then we look at the investigation. We had retired police officers. Two of them are like 30-year law enforcement veterans in Arizona. One's Bob Houston and one's Ron Thompson. Those are our two leads for our investigation. And Bob went down with me and looked at everything Veterans on Patrol has in their camp, the evidence that gets removed from the site. They were concerned that nothing's going to be done with it. They said Tucson PD wouldn't take it into possession. They wouldn't do any fingerprints. They wouldn't do anything with the evidence that they found. So they took it back to their camp. Now, clearly, they didn't know what they were doing when it comes to handling evidence and preserving it. So that's frustrating. But then they were between a rock and a hard place. What do you do if you don't think the Tucson PD is doing a thorough investigation? You're concerned we're just going to, whitewash it. I can't blame them for taking it back to their camp. So what we did is we went back to the camp and looked at it all, and Bob said, of course, it's not usable in a court of law because it's been handled by so many people. But it raised a red flag for him that apparently they did not interview the witnesses. They did not take statements from them. Apparently, they also did not check for prints on these items. And some of this is drug paraphernalia. You've got a crack pipe, a parent crack pipe, marijuana pipe, some marijuana in a container, and a little baggie with powder. And as far as we know, they didn't test it. We're going to go get all the police reports that Greg Sawyer said he reviewed. We're going to go get copies ourselves. And we've got a guy going down to do that right now and look at it. But the thing is that looking at our retired police officers, looking at the way Tucson PD handled it, and given the backdrop of not trusting the chief, they don't feel like enough was done to really be able to say conclusively that this was not a rape tree used on women and children. So we're still digging. We're going to do our own independent investigation. I think it's not proper. This is not proper for the conclusions being made that were made by the Tucson PD. That there's no indications of criminal activity. We don't think it was done thoroughly enough to determine that. And so they're going to do it on their own. And that's what we're doing down here. And we're assisting them. And we've got volunteers from out of state, retired law enforcement officers from around the country are going to assist them in just doing our own investigation.
Stuart, you guys, you're doing great work. And folks, you know what? They've got plenty of help, boots on the ground down there right now. What they do need, and they do need this in all the missions that they take on, they need your financial support. So go to theoathkeepers.org. They have a donate button there. Just check it out. Give them something. I don't care if it's $10 or $100, whatever you can, help these guys out. Now, Stuart, being down there on the border right now and having men out in the desert, do you get the sense that we're making headway with this whole immigration problem there, or are we still just getting overrun?
Well, this is the problem, is that this is massive conduit of a wide open corridor of cartel activity down here. And a cartel, it's just common knowledge. They have safe houses all over Tucson. They run their mule trains all over the place with the community. In fact, one of our members, his wife, told us that they live 5 miles from the border, and she'll see like 9, 10 illegal aliens being picked up in a van. She calls the border, right in her own property, her own backyard. She calls the border patrol, they do nothing. She called the local sheriff, they did nothing. No response whatsoever. She saw another guy sitting out there in a white van, waiting for someone probably. Same thing. Calls the border patrol, they do nothing. Calls the local sheriff department, they do absolutely nothing. So they're very frustrated that nothing's being done to put a stop to this. And it's like this passe attitude of this is just how it is, status quo, and no one cares anymore. They've all given up. And so there are some good law enforcement officers trying to do their job, but either they're so overwhelmed that they can't do it, or they become numb to it. That's what we see. And the locals here are very frustrated. They don't see anything changing under Trump. Sad to say, they see the same status quo they saw during the Obama administration and then during Bush before that. And so what needs to happen, and something needs to be done that, frankly, President Trump should use his power as commander-in-chief and simply call the U.S. military out of the border, use his DOD assets, and seal the border. And not just a few National Guardsmen. Same thing that, like a token force of 5,000 National Guardsmen is not going to do it. That's what happened during the Obama administration, during the Bush administration as well. So President Trump needs to take this seriously. We take it seriously on the border of Iraq and Iran to protect that border when we were there. Take it seriously on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Mexico takes the southern border seriously. All the nations in the world take their border seriously. So I think Trump should just declare a national emergency and say this is a matter of national security, in part as a humanitarian crisis to stop this slow motion Holocaust that's going on down here, people dying in the desert. He should just say, well, I'm going to put the troops on the border to stop that, to stop the drug trafficking, to stop the human trafficking and sex slave trafficking too. Put an end to it. And also the very obvious vulnerability we have of terrorists coming across our southern border, whatever they want to bring across, they can just walk right across. So I think it's, he has the ability to do that without waiting for Congress to act. He doesn't wait for Congress to pass legislation. He can just, as commander-in-chief, say, I'm going to do this as a matter of national security and protect our border. And he should do that. So I encourage folks to, petition him to do so. Contact him on Twitter and on the Facebook or on the White House hotline and implore him and urge him to do his duty and call out the troops on the border, make a wall of troops.
Well said, Stuart. Now, look, there's another attack going on in our country right now, and that's the attack on our Second Amendment rights. Now, there is a town, you and I talked about it earlier in Illinois, who I believe it's on Friday, says if you don't turn in certain weapons, you're basically, you're now like subject to arrest. What's going on with all that back there? What's really happening to our rights?
Well, what's happened is the political left, for decades they tried to say, oh, we don't want to confiscate guns. We're not going to ban guns and come door to door. It would make fun of you, probably conspiracy theorists, if you pointed that out. That's their ultimate goal. Well, now they've come unhinged. In the era of Trump, they don't feel confident in passing any federal legislation to take away our guns. And so instead they're going to the places where they have a political stronghold, like in Deerfield, Illinois, as this town, but it's also happening in Oregon, where they feel like they can get away with it. They're trying to pass legislation to ban entire classes of weapons, semi-automatic rifles, handguns. Like in Deerfield, I believe it covers both rifles and handguns. And they're trying to just cram this stuff through and then do exactly what they said that they would never do, is go door to door and demand that people turn in their weapons. And so this is kind of a collision course in Deerfield. Now, there's a lawsuit being put through that requests an emergency stay, an injunction against them, filed by the NRA and other gun rights groups. So we'll see what happens with that. But if that's not successful, if that stay is not granted, and they try to enforce this, then we'll have to see what happens when they go to some gunner's door and try to take his guns. This is the problem, is that they think they can just pass whatever law they want to and we'll just roll over. But there are quite a few Americans out there that simply won't. So we're watching this closely, and same thing goes in Oregon. They're backing American gun owners up against the wall at the local level. What Trump needs to do is to say this is not something that he's going to accept or allow, as a matter of our constitutional rights as Americans under the Second Amendment, protected by the Second Amendment. And I think President Trump needs to step in and make it clear that he's not going to allow Americans to be violated like that, and do whatever he can to intercede. He has an oath responsibility under his oath to defend the Constitution. Now, exactly how he could do that, that's a really good question. But, you know, I think he needs to be vocal about it. He needs to step in and do what he can to stop it from doing this. So I want to see the DOJ at least join the lawsuits requesting an injunction. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because, you know, we're under attack. I mean, we truly are. I mean, our Constitution's under attack. You know, in the schools today, they teach the kids that the Constitution needs to be rewritten because it doesn't apply anymore to life today. And that's scary stuff. I mean, that's really frightening stuff. I know, you know, as oath keepers in your organization, you guys are bound to uphold the tenets in the Constitution. You take an oath for that, isn't that right?
Well, we all did to serve the military. Yeah, absolutely. Like I did when I served as a paratrooper. You know, so all our military service veterans took an oath, and so did all the cops. Absolutely.
Well, listen, we really appreciate what you guys are doing out there. And folks, listen, I want you to come out to Long Island, New York, August 9th through the 11th. Some of the Oath Keepers from the Long Island chapter are going to be over there. They're going to be out there at the conference. You get a chance to meet them, you know, face to face, thank them for what they're doing. You can even sign up to be an Oath Keeper. You do not have to have had service in the military, police, first responder. They have I guess it's like an associate membership where just regular people who want to stand up for what they're doing can get involved and make a difference. Oathkeepers.org. Get over there today. Check them out. If you have any questions at all, you can contact me directly through our website, here, thewatchmen.com, or contact Stuart or his team by clicking the contact button on oathkeepers.org. Stuart, thanks for coming out of the heat today and spending some time with us and putting up with our technical problems. God bless you and all the men and women in your organization for what you guys are doing down there along the border.
Great. Thanks a lot, buddy. Take care. God bless.
God bless, brother. Well, that's going to do it tonight, folks, for the Watchman's Report. Remember, as I always say, there's nothing that you can't do with Jesus in your heart, except nothing at all. Get out there, get busy, stand up for what should be going on in America, and just let it happen to America. We'll see you next time here on the Watchman's Report.